Hi, everybody. I'm just gonna hop on to briefly talk about something that is on my mind a lot today. A little reminder for us all, especially during these times. And especially for us who are not only digging to find the truth that's going on with the world right now, but also sharing the information. And by the way, thank you all who's doing that. Thank you all who's doing their own work right now. All of it is very impactful. Even if we think that our own little corner is not doing much, it actually is doing a lot. So thank you. So choosing our reality. In the corporate world, in school, I'm sure, I don't know, I didn't do post-secondary education. My education was in the world. Either way, we had a phrase that we use a lot, fake it till you make it. And a lot of that has to do with your belief system. And the placebo effect has been proven even in the medical community over and over and over again. I posted a short video in this group just before this post. I would highly recommend you check it out because it does touch on the fact that we create our reality. Our consciousness, our thoughts, whether we realize it or not, create our reality. And that's why the fifth dimension or the higher dimension or the new world or whatever you want to call it, the ascension of consciousness has to do with living in the present moment. Because in the present moment, not only is it where you create your reality, whether you realize it or not, that's just how it is. This is proven by quantum science. This is, anyways, I'm not going to get into proving it, but most of us, though, don't consciously exist in the present moment. We exist thinking about our future or thinking about our past. So what's happening is our present energy is riddled with fear, worry, and anxiety. So therefore, we are creating a reality of fear and worry and anxiety. And going back to the people that are spreading the truth, it's the same thing with, the powers that be, the elite, the cabal, the lower frequency. You can blame a person, you can blame a group of people, you can blame social status of people. At the end of the day, it's just energy. So we're finding out that they were planting all these subliminal images, throughout this whole time. They've been programming us this whole time, which, is factual. And I say this a lot. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Are they planting it in our brains because they want to announce what they're doing, because they do covet certain laws where they have to announce what they're doing to us? Or are they planting it in our brains because ultimately we're the ones that are manifesting it? And this isn't to make ourselves feel guilty. This is really just information to make ourselves realize that we are coming into a higher energy now, like the whole planet. So we are actually, whether we want to or not, more inclined and encouraged energetically to actually think higher thoughts. That's why a lot of us are having a spiritual awakening, and a lot of us are starting to look at the world like a newborn innocent child almost, and healing a lot of our traumas. So we're supported to be in a higher frequency, which really just means, like the precision of equinox talks about this, we were in a lower frequency. So yeah, we can say we were taken over, we can say we were lied to, we can say we were manipulated, but that blame is creating a victim mentality that isn't really helping us. And you can actually put the same concept and apply it to a narcissistic relationship, which a lot of narcissistic relationships right now are breaking up and have been in the last few years, because the codependent narcissistic energy isn't working anymore. It's not supported anymore in this new frequency. So a lot of abusive relationships are, the victim is waking up and is healing and is detaching from the gaslighting and the manipulation. So we can blame the person, but it's not even the person, because that person, that's the role that they play in the duality, helping the codependent person wake up. So bringing it back to the social structure, if we feed into all the programming, all the lies on the television, then we are perpetually creating the same reality. So this is kind of what I want to talk about. The fake it till you make it. I believed very early in my awakening in the concept of faith it till you make it. And when I say faith, for me, it's not religious in the external sense that I grew up in going to, Catholic high schools, which I only went to because of the uniform, and to escape bullying. For me, faith is belief in knowing that I'm protected, knowing that I'm supported, knowing that I am magical, knowing that I am capable, without needing to know the how. Faith to me is knowing that it's all going to work out without needing to know how it's going to work out. It's not like, oh, I expect it to go like this and this and this and this, because expectations are the root of all heartache. But I do have a faith that I will, for me, it's living a life of freedom and being able to, provide for my kids and support what's going on without getting into what I want to do. But at the end of the day, faith is knowing that you're going to get somewhere without needing to know the how, without needing to see the exact steps, without trying to focus so much on how to solve the problem. Instead, focus on the vision of what it is that you're going to get to, and the problems kind of solve themselves. So I'm giving a lot of background information to the point that I want to get to. In this time right now that we're going through with all this new information that's getting unveiled, it's easy to fall back into the three-dimensional fear. So what I am suggesting to all of us, what I'm reminding us all to do, because a lot of us, I'm sure, know it or have talked about it at some point, otherwise you wouldn't really be in this group, is flip your mindset. So if you're constantly being bombarded, or like for me, I went down, the white rabbit hole last night and started digging into some more information, and then I couldn't sleep because the images were in my head. It's natural. So I had to flip it. I had to do certain things that work for me. I use YouTube a lot. I pay for the premium package so I don't get advertisements and no interruptions, no commercials for the kids. So I use YouTube and, put certain sounds or frequencies in the house, and that shifts the vibration. I use incense and candles. That works for me. I used to a lot, and I still do, will write up certain phrases, key affirmations, anything like that, and post it all around the house. I used to actually use washable marker and write it on my mirror, because when you're bombarded by negative images, you have the choice to also bombard yourself with positive images or positive phrases or positive things. So it's going to be unavoidable to go down the unveiling route, because it's happening whether we want to understand it or not. But let's not forget, and this is the key thing that I wanted to emphasize today, that you can also choose to detach yourself from the fear unveiling that's going on and put yourself somewhere where you can rebalance, where you can be present again, whatever that may be for you. Some people, or not some people, some things that I've done in the past, stop what I'm doing and play with my kids. Which can be hard, especially when we're caught up with so much information. Like, I've been neglecting my kids a lot. My kids are unschoolers, though, so they kind of do their own thing a lot. My human guilt being in there and knowing that I'm caught up with all this stuff that's going on. So separating myself from that. I go for walks a lot, whether it be by myself or whether it be with my son. My daughter doesn't want to go for walks right now because she doesn't want to see the outside world with all the masks. And that's her way of staying out of that reality. She doesn't need to see it. We have outdoor space in our house that she can go to. It's not like she's, cooped up in a cage. But she visually chooses to not be in that reality, which is another tool. Like I mentioned, affirmations, music, healthy food, good conversation. If you're going to be talking to a like-minded person, and then you go down the rabbit hole and start talking conspiracy theories, why don't you also shift the conversation and start talking expansion? Things like that. So I just wanted to really drive the reminder that what we speak about, what we think about, what we talk about creates our reality. So catch yourself. And there's no guilt in it. I mean, you will often find yourself where you might not want to be. All the time I do it too, and I've been doing this for years. However, the trick is not to not do it. The trick is the catching of yourself and the flipping, because the more you flip it, not only are you creating a new habit, not only is it going to be easier for that transition later on, but we're actually, if you want to look at it biologically, we're creating new neural pathways so that our brain naturally goes into a different kind of flow when we catch ourselves in that kind of negative vibration. You start to kind of recognize it in your body and how you start to feel. When you practice being present a lot, your body will start to really be, at least this is what I've noticed, your body will start to be a real big telltale of the signs that you're no longer present, you're no longer balanced. You start to feel anxiety in certain parts of your body, like your stomach or your heart, or you start to sweat. For me, it's so funny. I start to sweat in the back of my knees. I get really hot when I'm dealing with someone that is just throwing bullshit at me. That's like my lie detector. And I never noticed that before when I was asleep. Or I get really hot, like right here around my neck. So these are just different things that once we start to pay attention without any judgment, we propel ourselves into the ability of taking ourselves out of any moment that kind of throws us in a tide of fear and whatever. So the more we practice it, the better. And someone mentioned to me, we're having a conversation about meditation, and I just want to put in the fact that I don't believe meditation necessarily has to be very like silent, empty space, quiet, no movement. For me, actually, meditation requires movement. I need motion. That's just how my energy flows and how my channeling works and all that. So I not only realized that meditation for me was not stopping my thoughts, but just recognizing my thoughts and letting them go. And we can go more into detail another time. But I also, through practice of meditation and through practice of being able to flip my thought, which is active meditation, you are actively taking the thought that swept you away and flipping it and not letting it keep taking you into that tide, right? So that's active meditation. So eventually, and for anybody that actually follows Cryon channels, he mentions this too, the energy Cryon mentions this too, that eventually meditation and living start to meld, they start to merge, because we have remembered or trained ourselves, or however you want to say it, to actively catch our thoughts throughout the day and flip our thoughts or bring ourselves back into present. All of those things really are a form of meditation. So we begin, and that's what living in a higher dimension is, we begin to exist by actively participating in our reality versus existing through this like asleep mode, which is why we say the asleep and the awake. Not to sound condescending, not to sound judgmental, but I know for me, I was living asleep, completely in fear and anxiety for almost 30 years, more than 30 years. I thought I was this confident person, high in my profession, don't take no shit, street kid that grew up in the streets, but very book smart too. I thought nobody could fool me. And then when I woke up after I had my first kid, it kind of like triggered my awakening. Looking back, I'm like, oh my God, I was so asleep, because at no point was I actively sitting there and questioning my emotions, interrogating my feelings. At no point did I sit there and observe my thoughts and realize what it is that I'm thinking and where my fears stem from. So just being able to go back into yourself and realize what you're doing all day, what you're thinking about all day, how you're feeling all day, is enough to change your whole life. So that's just the starting point. At least that was for me. So with everything going on, and let's not get it twisted, things are going to get crazier, not smoother. It's not how are we going to deal with things going crazier. It's how much can we practice dealing with things so as they get crazier, we're still level. We're still like being able to detach. We're still being able to catch where we're being swept away, with what conversation, with what energy, with what reality, and be able to pluck ourselves out, actively rechannel our energy where it's going. So I'll leave it at that, because I have a feeling my son's going to come down soon and then it's all over. I just want to say one more thing. Thank you guys all for your feedback in the last video. Thank you for the safe space in this group, because live videos for me are hard. I am working on giving you more eye contact. I know that is where I'm lacking. But I'm not conversing with anything, so it's really challenging. I can't see any comments when I'm on my cell phone either, so if you're commenting as I'm speaking, it's probably meant to be that I can't see it, because I think that way I can stay focused on what it is that I want to say. I can easily get distracted. But please always leave your questions. I will always check. I do always read them. I don't always respond right away because I'm like doing 30 things. But thank you all for your feedback. I'm working on just getting more and more thoughts that come in my head open to this group, because If it resonates, take it. If it doesn't, don't. But I am being encouraged by my star family and my higher self to just say it, whatever it is. So right now, that's how I was feeling. Remember to check your thoughts. Remember to check your reality. Remember to check where you're getting swept up in conversation, especially with all that's going on right now. And there is a lot going on. But that's okay. The more that's going on, it means that more things are changing, which you can't have change without things going on. It can't be simple in terms of shifting things around. It can be simple in terms of how we live through it. You really can go through unscathed by just detaching. And it's not apathy, it's awareness. So I'll leave it at that. My messages are going crazy, and I heard my son. Okay, love you guys. Have a good day. Bye.